Good morning. How are you doing, Kyle?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Fantastic. Boy, I can relate with this movie. My entire life, I've wanted to go to space. I was that kid in his backyard tipping the doghouse over. That was my space module. I went into space. And now to see you in Space Oddity, oh my God, it's so relatable.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. I don't think I would have wanted to go to space as much. I want to be a zookeeper.
Yeah.
But researching this film, I definitely relate to you. Space is pretty freaking cool.
Well, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is just when you're standing there looking at the stars. I'm from Montana, so that's big sky country. And to me, that's always going to get my attention when it's like, here I am, this guy, and there the universe is. I'm still just a little dude.
It's such a wonderful feeling. I mean, there's a reason that video was Sagan's Pale Blue Dot. It's a reason that's so powerful. It really takes the pressure off. I say that to myself sometimes when someone's telling me how to live your life. Like, here's how you're going to optimize this and do that, and here's the best thing to do about this, and you eat these 12 things and sleep never, and and I'm like, what is there, like 8 billion of us now? Yeah. Someone else will get it right. I don't have to nail it. There's enough iterations of person out there that I think someone else can do it perfectly.
Yeah, but do you sit back and wait for it to happen? And because it's like I'm a doer, but at the same time, I don't mind being a follower. But how long do I have to wait here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows, and that's the fun part. It's like you just kind of gotta exist a bit. See if it happens.
I would love to see how many real astronauts are going to watch this, because it seems to be on their mind in a really huge way to go to Mars. Yeah, they want to colonize the moon, but that trip to Mars is huge in their life, and it's movies like this that gives them that fire.
Oh, cool. That's amazing. No, I really didn't think about it that way. Yeah, I think, the efforts and things to go to Mars are really incredible. I do think there's a lot of focus to be had here on Earth, though. It's just part of the message of the film is really like, hey, like before we try and colonize other planets, other spheres, like this is our current spaceship, and it could use some assistance. So why don't we double down here first, and once that's situated, we can go check out the other orbs.
And what's really interesting is the fact that when you talk that way, because first of all, I love reality, and you're right, we need to fix what's going on here because we're just going to take it up there. And here's the line that we have to think about when we want to go up there. You guys clearly say it. It's a one-way ticket up there. And when I heard that in the movie, I went, oh my God, that means I'm not coming back to watch a Mets game or something.
Yeah, or you're getting it way later and potentially in terrible quality. And they might cut off the end of the game too. But yeah, really, it is a one-way ticket. It takes something like 5 years, something crazy just to get there.
Yeah.
Even going incredibly fast. It is a very long distance to get there. Couple circumferences of the globe. Yeah, and I mean that's kind of it. That's part of the character's journey is, him telling people that, yeah, I'm gonna go to Mars, and like, you're gonna go to Mars, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna live there for the rest of my life. He's like, so you're basically saying goodbye to everyone you know and love. It's like, yep. So you're quitting. Yeah, and it's like, so you're kind of just using this to commit suicide in a way, and like this is how he's handling his grief. He's sort of deleting reality in order to cope with it.
Yeah, and then love gets in the way, and all of a sudden it's a different story, which really brings it forward with reality.
Yeah. I think we just have these aggrandized visions of ourselves as sort of depressed lone wolves, and then sometimes all it takes is someone to look at you the right way, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna throw all that out the window.
what listeners need to understand is that you tend to do movies that put that adventure inside us. And I mean, look at what you did with The Greatest Beer Run. Isn't that also like just running to Mars? You went to a place where most people wouldn't go. And still in that movie, you put your life on the line, just like you would if you were going to Mars.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. Thank you. It's very insightful. I'd have to agree. But I did the greatest beer run ever. That was a fun one. Got to go to Thailand for it. Yeah, I'd learn all about the Vietnam War and whatnot. I mean, I think that's very different. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people there enlisted in Vietnam because they didn't understand the reality of the situation. It was definitely America not being entirely realistic as to what they were accomplishing.
Yeah, there was definitely a message in that movie, and it carried all the way through it, from the family love, and the support and the not support that you got from when you were in that movie.
Yeah, very much so. In Space Oddity, there was support to the degree that he's getting outside. I think prior to when this movie begins, Alex McAllister was catatonic. Wouldn't go outside or anything, and then finds this Mars program and is like, oh, I can cope with that. Can't cope with reality, but I can cope with this. And so his mother was really supportive of that, just because it got him out the door. Well, that's a step in the right direction, so we're going to support this sort of thing.
God, I remember being a kid. I mean, we'd go outside and, we went outside the door, but nowadays we can't get the kids to go outside. It's like, just go get a bike. Go steal one if you have to. Just do it.
Do anything. Break down the door when you leave. You can kick the door off its hinges as long as you're going in that direction. I'm in agreement. I think it's important. It's just basics, vitamin D, fresh air. Not to mention literally everything else you learn.
So you got to work with a astronaut in this movie, Space Oddity. I mean, Simon Helberg has been to space. I saw him in Big Bang Theory. I mean, he's gone to space. He knows. Yeah,
he was the one. He was the only one. I don't think he had a terrible amount of insight because he only went there for a short amount of time. But it was certainly fun to hear that story from him. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, he is. There's a hidden message in this movie. Do you think that it's living life? You've got to invest in just living life and believe in your dreams. And as awkward as they are, just pick yourself back up and keep living life.
Yeah, I think in addition to that, it's about I think facing your problems head on and understanding that you're not alone in doing so. I think in the same way, our environment could use our assistance, and we tend to think about other things in other ways. Like maybe we can get off the planet. And you're like, well, that'd be great if we could stay on it. That's kind of a hassle. There's a lot of us. You're taking care of the one that you have rather than trying to go out and create a new one entirely and abandoning this one. And that's the same as instead of abandoning your reality and trying to create a new one when the current reality is painful, look at the people around you and see that everyone's, facing the same reality and that you can face it together.
That's so interesting that you bring that up, because last night I was with a group of young adults ranging from 15 to 19, and I asked them, I said, are we all worried about the same thing, about what's going on in Russia and North Korea? And they go, no, we're not investing in that because it's almost like a sci-fi film. There are things locally that we're afraid of, but not like that. And I'm thinking, who are you? How can you stay at peace when everything feels like it's breaking down?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a lovely 24-hour news cycle, so you're just kind of inundated with bad news because that's the one that sells. And you'll get more views if you sensationalize terrible things that are happening. So there's a certain numbness to it, I think, on one hand, and then the other is we're actually not engineer. Our brain can't really fathom and calculate in a real and visceral way things that are happening more than like 100 miles from us. You know, we can only really hold in our head around like 200 people and really only have relation to 75 of them. And then the more intimate the relationship is and the more knowledge you have of the people, that number gets smaller and smaller. And so understanding your limitations as a person, like you don't have the capacity to worry about everyone in your community and everyone in all of the other communities.
Right.
People are going through things, and it's kind of a weird place. It's a really weird reality to face. It's just like, why don't I feel this way about these things? It's very confusing. But I do think focusing locally and think globally, act locally, I think it is.
Mm-hmm. I love that thought.
Yeah, I think is a perfectly decent approach.
Space Oddity is a sci-fi dramedy. That's two completely different audiences that you're going to be bringing into the same circle. What was it like to do that with the dramedy and keeping it in that sci-fi mode?
Yeah, I think if you're doing comedy, if you're doing drama, if you're doing sci-fi, fantasy, whatever it is, I think there's going to be a kernel of truth and humanity that has to be in it in order for it to really kind of click with people. So I think if you focus on that, whatever story you tell in whatever genre, is going to be successful.
So now you actually can now say that you have the Kevin Bacon 6 degrees of separation. I mean, you can say I was with him. I was there.
Because it's 1 degree now. Yeah.
and I talked with you, so I'm part of the story too. So hey, it's really happening.
It's the truth.
to create with Kyra Sedgwick, I mean that had to have been amazing, because I love the idea that she explores movies the way that she does, and that she's and I think, is that the actress coming out in her, or is it she's always been this person and she puts it into the acting?
I think she has always been this person. Really, I think all of her experience as an actor and having worked with so many different directors on so many different films is such an incredible career as an actor, and she's turned that into an incredible career as a director. I think, her ability to sort of address story and situations and things and make actors feel comfortable, and how she gives them notes and everything like that, it's just informed by her decades of practice and mastery of the craft. It really lets you trust her.
Does it inspire you to make movies for Amazon? I mean, because Amazon is into the movie making business. They're taking it very seriously, and they're really opening up the door for a lot of creative new people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an incredible company. I did a movie with them called The Map of Tiny Perfect Things, which is really, really fun. Cute movie. Yeah, I mean, I think it's incredible what they're doing. I was watching there's so many great stuff on there right now.
Mm-hmm. So now, when you were shooting Space Oddity, take me to the set in the way, was it shot like an indie film, or was it you had to keep doing the scenes over and over again? Because there's such a different texture when it comes to making movies nowadays.
Yeah. It's a little bit of both. I mean, we definitely shot it like an indie film because it's an indie film. Bare bones crew, which is kind of everyone kind of loves that way of filmmaking. It feels like summer camp. You're all sitting in the together, you're all sweating together and getting bit by mosquitoes and checking each other for ticks and stuff like that. It wasn't that bad, but it's a very glamorous way of sitting in the mud with your friends. But there's a lot to it that is not particularly glamorous. But it was really nice. It was really fun. I think it adds a really deep texture to the film. And then sometimes you got to film things over and over and over again, and sometimes you wish you could, but you're out of time.
Oh yeah. Well, to me, it reminds me as if it's when you do an indie film, it's like, okay, this is like a live production on Broadway or a small theater, and you got to get out there and you've got to get it right. Okay, how many times is it going to take to get it right?
I mean, you can get it right in one, and then sometimes someone in the background walks through the shot, or the lights off, or something falls over, or there's there's red ants where you're supposed to be laying down, or there's suns in your eyes. There's a million things that go wrong. There's a million jobs that could go wrong. And everyone just shows up to be as prepared and on it as humanly possible. We had an amazing crew and a great cast, so I don't think we had to really shoot any one thing too many times. Really?
See, yeah, I understand that there, because I had a program director tell me one time. He says, "Quit teaching people how to stop so they can do a pickup line. They've got to learn to keep going." And I thought, well, if we have the ability to do a pickup line, why don't we just edit it out and save some time?
Yeah. I mean, I think both ways. One, I might kind of take everyone who's in the scene out of the scene. On the day on the set. The other actors or yourself, or if you're the one doing it, director, cues, things, so on and so forth. But yeah, maybe one is better than the other. I'm not sure.
Did you at least get to have the red carpet treatment? I mean, when this movie premiered?
Yeah, we got to premiere at Tribeca.
Nice.
That was lovely. It's such a wonderful film festival. I had never been. That was my first time, so that was really a treat.
All those cameras, all those people you don't know, and yet they're all wanting to ask you questions. That has to be a moment of, okay, I love this, but at the same time, I don't know what to say.
I think that's actually pretty accurate. You're like, I think this is great, but I really don't know what to say. Yeah.
What's next, or can you talk about that? Because I know actors, you guys are always well way down the road when it comes to making movies and stuff.
Way down the road. Nothing I can say yet.
All right, man. Please come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
Awesome. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
And once again, thank you for doing this movie, Space Oddity, because for those of us that want to go to Mars, this really gives us, so many different angles to look at the storyline and to still be in love with space.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right, man. Be brilliant.